Okay folks, thanks very much for joining me. Today I'm going to be tying up a very popular Overwing fly, but in a more modern style. So it's the Munro killer, and it's based on one of Davie McPhail's variants. So first thing we need to do is just add on our thread as always, and then for the tag and the rib I'm going to be using gold oval, and this is a medium gold oval for this size of hook. So I secure that in underneath, and then just run your thread up to where the hooks start to come off the shank. And then I'm just going to create a tag by doing 3 or 4 wraps of that there, and tuck that in underneath and secure it. Okay, and then to save time, I'm going to pull this back again in between the hooks and run that back down, so it saves me having to cut and add it again. Okay, and then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to try and level out where the butt and tag are for what we're going to attach here. Okay, so tail of the traditional Overwing would have been your golden pheasant, but this time I'm going to be using some feelers, and this is actually a hot orange and red tip feelers, so they're boar bristles. So you don't need too many. This is a size 10, so I'm going to go for maybe 3 or 4. Okay. So if I can just separate these out. And unlike the Francis, I'm going to try and get these to point similar direction. They don't all need to be on top of each other, but most of them are pointing upwards. And they'll hopefully, this fly will be intended for a bit of a strong flow, so hopefully they'll quiver quite a bit. So that's the way they'll look there. Okay. So for lengthwise, I'd probably do twice the hook length. Okay, and I'm going to just tie them on nice and loose here at the start, using pinch and loop. And it looks good to me. Now, boar bristles don't compress well, so it's always good to add on a wee bit of super glue onto the thread, and that will make sure that they don't slip off. So I'm putting on about 1 inch of super glue. I'm going to just put that on, and that'll give a very secure hold. Okay. Then just you need to trim off your excess. And just clean up there. Okay, so the main body is black floss. So I've got some floss here, and it's actually 4-strand damvils, but what I do is I just take 1 strand and use the weight of the bobbin and make it only 2 strands. Okay, then I use that up on top of the hook, and then the rib will be underneath. Okay, that's that secured in. We can bring our thread back up to the head. Okay, and then just wrap that on. Whenever you're wrapping floss, it's sometimes good to wet your fingers a little bit. It seems to give a better grip whenever you're holding down and rotating the floss on. Okay, so I'm just wrapping this on, touch and turns, and making sure I give plenty of space at the head there. Okay. Just cutting off my excess, and then follow up with 4 or 5 turns of your rib. Okay. I'm using my blunt scissors for cutting off the rib. Okay, so for the hackle of the fly, there's two hackles here. So we have the first one is your hot orange. And I'm using hot orange cock hackle. I see Davie used hot orange hen hackle, but it's entirely up to yourself. And then also we have Guineafowl as well, dyed blue. I'm lucky enough this is the last feather in the pack. So let's see. So for this kind of fly, you could tie it on, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a false hackle. Okay, but I'm going to make sure there's still plenty of fibres. And I'm using a cape here that has very little feathers left. But whenever you're coming to false hackle, it doesn't really matter what size of feather, as long as you get enough fibres. So what you want to do is you want to pull out those barbs. And then just strip off sections, then grip them, strip them off, grip another section until you think you have enough. Okay. And lengthwise, I want this to go maybe just past the tag or so. So using your pinch and loop. Okay. Going to add a wee bit of wax to the thread here. That's the first hackle, which I'm happy with. The next hackle then is going to be your blue Guineafowl. You could use blue badger, it's entirely up to yourself. And I'll strip off the fibres of this. This is a bit of a softer hackle as well, so it'll give a wee bit more movement. Okay, and again, probably about the same length. Secure those in with your left hand, or your right hand if you're left-handed, and pinch and loop on top of those. Okay, then just use your thumbnail if you don't think they're splayed enough, but I'm happy with that there. Okay, to save me moving around and the risk of displacing some of those fibres, I'm going to just use a bit of super glue before I cut off the excess, just to make sure that whenever I'm putting the scissors on, I don't actually move the fibres that aren't excess. You can see there was even still a wee bit of movement there. Okay, so I'm very happy with that beard. Okay, so for the wing, first part's going to be yellow squirrel tail. You could use bleached squirrel if you wanted, it's entirely up to yourself. This is just grey squirrel dyed yellow. Okay, and this is going to be, there's going to be two parts to the wing, so this is going to give a good bit of security to the overwing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust, I'm going to guess where my wing is going to end. And I'm going to trim this to size. And then putting this on, just give me a bit of a neater finish. But sometimes whenever you're cutting the excess, you can very easily move the fibres. Okay, and I'm going to use a good bit of super glue on the thread. The squirrel's very prone to come out loose, even with waxed thread. And I'm going to use the super glue thread to really hold down those cut ends. Okay. Then the next part of the wing is going to be black runner. You could use black fox, you could use black bucktail, it's entirely up to yourself. And this is a finer hair, so I don't need to use as much. And I'm not actually going to, normally I like guard hairs whenever I'm using runner, but I'm going to remove all the guard hairs. Okay, then I'm going to hold it by the tip and remove all that under fur. As you can see, that's very light. There really isn't much hair there. Okay, then just wet my fingers, just make sure they have a nice taper. Now I want this is going to be supported by the squirrel. I want this to go halfway into the tail, so a little bit longer. Okay. And again, pinch and loop will secure that in. Okay. The last thing I want to do is go and add in a wee bit of flesh. So if I can find it here, so I've got some little Angelina fibres, and it's just yellow colour here, so it's a bit like holographic yellow. And I'm going to add some of this in over the wing. So using the bobbin to secure it in. Okay. And then you cut those off to the wing length. You taper them whatever way you want, really. Okay, just want to make sure I'm getting the fibres going back. Okay, and then just trim off your runner there and on the excess. Okay. Now, this is important whenever it comes to tying in heads. I can see there's a bit of a drop between the hook and the head itself here. And that's just because the amount of cutting that I had to do. So, to help with that drop, and so there's no slipping, I can actually use a wee bit of super glue here to help build that front part up. Well folks, the phone cut out there just at the end as I was doing the whip finish. Internal memory issue, but hopefully you got the gist of the video. I've just done a wee whip finish to finish it off. As always, if you've enjoyed the video and found that useful, please do check out the other videos, hit that subscribe button and give us a wee bit of feedback below if you want as well. Until next time, all the best. Thanks very much.